Let's just be clear. There's a mole at DHS, maybe multiple moles, who are working against the interest of law enforcement, of Homeland Security, the federal government, against the American people. This is like having a spy working for communist China or for the Soviet Union during the Cold War, and who is actively giving a heads up to our enemies. Federal law enforcement officials working for ICE face a very dangerous job when they have to go into neighborhoods and try to apprehend criminal illegal aliens. Many of them are murderers, rapists, deviants of various types. They're hardened criminals. And these law enforcement officials need to go in and try to apprehend them, mostly because Democrats have set up sanctuary policies in their cities. So rather than actually transfer custody of these criminals within the safe confines of the county jail, they've been released, because sanctuary. They've been released into neighborhoods, and now ICE law enforcement officials need to go in and do the dangerous job of trying to apprehend them. But it's even more dangerous when you've got people within the agencies leaking to local media and to local recipients of the information, leaking the details of these law enforcement operations. That apparently is what's happening. And Border Czar Tom Homan is spitting mad about it. He talked about it last night on Hannity. Take a look, and then we'll break it down.
Tom, where are these leaks coming from?
Well, look, we think it's coming from inside. And we know the first leak of Aurora is under current investigation. We think we identified that person under investigation right now. The California leak, Secretary Noem, she's correct. Some of the information we're receiving tends to lead toward the FBI. But I talked to the Deputy Attorney General all this weekend. They've opened up a criminal investigation, and they have promised that not only this person lose their job and lose their pension, they're going to go to jail. They're going to criminally prosecute. So we're all over it. We got the DHS IG investigating the first one. I have a pretty good idea what happened. Can't share a lot because it's under investigation, but the IG's opened up a criminal investigation on the second one. We're sending a strong message. It's just not, giving the bad guys a heads up so they can escape apprehension. Right? We're arresting, giving, the Venezuela gang a heads up so we can't arrest them. You're putting officers' lives at risk. It's only a matter of time if we walk into a place where there's going to be a bad guy doesn't care. He's going to be sitting and wait for the officers to show up and ambush him. This is not a game. So DHS and DOJ are connected at hip to hold these people responsible in a criminal fashion.
There you go. A criminal investigation. Thank you. They should be tried and prosecuted immediately without prejudice. And he's 100% right. Listen, it's bad enough that these leaks are coming out, and they're being repeated by local news agencies too. The FCC is investigating a radio station in San Francisco who alerted local neighborhoods to ICE operations going on in the Bay Area. This is, again, a criminal operation, these leaks and the broadcasting of these leaks that, yes, put ICE officers in danger, very real danger. Remember how Democrats are constantly saying that they support first responders, that they, the only cops and first responders they've ever met that they ever wanted to give any lip service to and actually hold up as heroes were the ones who were working on the Capitol on January 6th. But these cops who are actually doing their job, they're just fine putting them in harm's way, number one. But number two, even without cops being in danger, which is bad enough, think about what they're doing. They're giving a heads up to murderers, to hardened criminals, people who are not only in this country illegally, but then have continued to break the law or broke the law, horrendous laws back in their home country that, yes, the Biden administration let in without any question whatsoever, carte blanche. Sure, hey, have your good time here in America. But these people who think they're being so noble as to give it, oh my God, ICE is coming. Hey, everybody, ICE is coming. They're not going to apprehend you. They're literally giving a heads up to hardened criminals, rapists, child molesters. So that was last night on Hannity. Com's office at the White House did a very smart thing. They had Homan work the entire morning television circuit. So what you're looking at there at the White House, This is a shot on the west end of the White House, looking at the north drive up there. I think it's like they call it a portico, I believe. All along the driveway there, leading up to the West Wing, you've got these green tents, and they basically are stand-up positions that each network has, where they, whenever you see in the morning, whether it's Fox News or ABC or whatever, and they say, let's go to our correspondent at the White House. And this is the look, right? This is where they stand. They either have their reporter standing there with the White House in the background, or they have a member of the administration stand there and they talk to them from the studio. And there's like 8 of them all right next to each other. And Tom Homan was available for every single network to talk to. Of course, not all of them spoke to them. This one's Newsmax, and here's what he had to say.
I've been on several of these operations, the men and women FBI. They're great patriots, and they're out there helping us to take public safety threats off the street. But we've already found one leak, and that's being dealt with by DHS-IG. And it wasn't FBI, but it was somebody within DHS. Secretary Noem, she said that the second leak appears to be someone in the FBI. Stuff that I've seen leads us to believe it's FBI. I've talked to the Deputy Attorney General. He's opened up a criminal investigation. We'll hold that person responsible. I don't care what the political beliefs are. I don't care if they think they're doing the right thing by, arresting public safety threats that are here illegally. The thing is, though, when they leak this information, it puts officers at great risk. It's only a matter of time before officers get ambushed by someone that just don't care. And they'll be waiting for ICE agents and DEA and FBI agents walk into that building and get ambushed. So this is not a joke. And when we find out who this is and we can prove who it is, they'll be criminally investigated and prosecuted. And I have no regrets to that. They need to be held criminally responsible for this.
That's right. Listen, let's just be clear. There's a mole at DHS, maybe multiple moles, who are working against the interest of law enforcement, of Homeland Security, the federal government, against the American people. This is like having a spy working for communist China or for the Soviet Union during the Cold War, and who was actively giving a heads up to our enemies. And Homan is absolutely correct here that it's only a matter of time until something tragic happens to one of these cops. Because understand something, the people that they're going to apprehend right now, that they're going to catch, these are hardened criminals who will be arrested. They will be deported. In many cases, they'll be sent back to Venezuela or to El Salvador to go into a prison in those countries. They are desperate individuals. Their choice is, okay, I either go back to a Venezuelan jail or I try to shoot my way out of this thing, kill the cop here in America who's trying to catch me, and find sanctuary in Berkeley, California, because Gavin Newsom will take care of me. What do you think they're going to do? So Homan continued on Newsmax here.
Seems like you are also running up against the wall every single day, trying to do the job that the American people sent Donald Trump to the White House to do. On Sunday, a judge in New Mexico, temporarily blocked you guys from transferring 3 Venezuelan migrant gang members to Guantanamo Bay. These guys were TDA. You got to fight the Democrats. You got to fight the Pope. You got to fight judges. When does it stop?
It's not going to stop. I said from day one, we're going to be litigated every day. Every step we take to secure that border, every step we take to remove millions of illegal aliens that were illegally released in this country by the Biden administration. I mean when I say that, the immigration law clearly states, and the statute, if you show up at our borders without proper documentation into this country, you shall be detained. Not maybe, not think about it, not put them in a hotel room with $500 a night. You shall be detained. So look, we're going to do this job. We knew we were going to be litigated. We knew lawfare was coming, but I'm confident everything we're doing is per statute. Before the president makes any executive order, before we take any enforcement action, we make sure that we're following the law as written by Congress, that is enshrined in statute. So we're going to win these court cases. It's just them stalling us, them putting up roadblocks. But again, they're not going to stop us. We're not going to slow down. Sanctuary cities, we'll double the manpower in sanctuary cities. We'll double the targeting in sanctuary cities. We're coming, and you're not going to stop us.
All right, so he's pretty determined, and you're not going to get in Tom Homan's way. By the way, that's what you want from your border czar. That's boy, were we missing this kind of action during the Biden administration. But of course, that border czar and that administration actually wanted to keep the border open and wanted this criminal element in the country. That's why Homan has to go and clean it up now. And then Homan, after doing his Newsmax hit and whatever other shows hit he did. Oh, there you go. That's what I'm talking about. See the green tents there along the side? In fact, is that Caitlin Collins arriving for work? Can't tell in the background there. It might be. But they're there. Those are all the tents that we're talking about. See the lights? And that's where you can go and you can stand. You're either a reporter or you're a member of the administration there. And the gate right behind there, that's the Secret Service gate that you have to get into if you have business at the White House, at least on that end, if you have a media business or if you're going into the receiving area at the Roosevelt Room. Yes, that's right. I've been there. I'm your man on the scene. In fact, just so you know, it's kind of in the works, but I'm hoping to do a live Larry show from the White House at some time in the next, during this administration. That's my hope. It'll just be an interview with multiple members of the administration. But anyway, here comes Homan speaking to the other gathered reporters there, right in front of the entrance to the media space in the West Wing.
Mr. Homan, is the president happy with the number of arrests?
I'm not. The rest, if you look at the rest in the interior enforcement, it's about 3 times higher than it was a year ago today. 3 times higher is good, but I'm not satisfied. There's more criminal aliens that need to be arrested, hundreds of thousands. Sanctuary cities are putting roadblocks up. We got leaks. So we need to increase the arrest of illegal aliens, especially those with criminal convictions. So we're going to continue. So 3 times higher is good. The numbers are good. For me, not good enough. We got to get more.
Mr. Homan, what's your message for the sanctuary cities? You just said we're putting up roadblocks. Do you have a message for them for Chicago, for example?
Well, Attorney General Pam Bondi is going to investigate them. We're going to hold them accountable. Sanctuaries are sanctuary criminals. End of story. They're sanctuary for criminals. Let us in the county jail to arrest the bad guy in the safety and security of the county jail. It's safer for the alien. It's safer for the officer. It's certainly safer for the community. Any sanctuary city that purposely release public safety threats back into public is stupid. I mean, let us arrest the bad guy in the jail, because what the sanctuary cities are seeing, I already see the stories. Non-criminals are being arrested at a higher rate, and they're going to keep being arrested at a higher rate, because we can't arrest that bad guy in the jail. We got to go to the community. When we go in the community, we're going to find the bad guy. When we find the bad guy, he's probably with others that aren't a criminal priority, but they're going to get arrested too. We're not going to tell ICE agents, ignore the oath you took, ignore the laws of immigration enforcement, just arrest a criminal. No, we're taking everybody. So sanctuary cities are going to get exactly what they don't want. More agents in the neighborhoods and more non-criminals being arrested, because they forced us in the community.
Tom Homan is too good to be true. He's like a character from a movie back in the 40s, right? He's exactly what you want from a cop who is focused and determined to do the job that he's been hired to do, that he swore that he would do. And the message to these sanctuary cities is perfect. It's a twofold message. Number one, if you are literally giving sanctuary to a felon, to a criminal who we are pursuing, then you are breaking the law. It is against the law to give sanctuary to a felon, to a criminal. And so you will be held accountable as well. We will arrest you. That means the mayors. That means the governors. Absolutely. All right, number one. And number two, you're actually causing the exact problem you're trying to solve. You want to keep innocent people from being deported? Well, more innocent people will be deported because of your sanctuary laws. Because if we go into the jail to get these criminals and deport them, then they're the only ones we're apprehending. But if we have to go into somebody's house and there's 8 other people there, we're taking names and we're checking papers. And so the exact thing you're trying to avoid with your so-called sanctuary policies, you're actually causing. I have a hunch that these sanctuary policies right now, these illegal rogue sanctuary policies, are going to start disappearing across this country. Just a hunch. It's funny what happens when federal law enforcement actually enforces federal law. We haven't seen that in quite some time. By the way, you just heard Homan talk about one end of the border security policies that the Trump administration has put in for the last 3 weeks, the deportation, the apprehension and deportation process. That end, I think, is whatever numbers and stats he just gave you, obviously a great improvement from what we saw during the Biden administration. But what about the other end? What about the prevention end? What about actually keeping people from illegally entering this country? Well, Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller was in the Oval Office yesterday when President Trump was signing executive orders. The media was assembled, and the question was raised. about border security. Miller laid out the facts.
Steve, I'd like you to say a couple of words about it.
Yes, well, as you know, Mr. President, since you issued your day one executive orders, border crossings are down approximately 95%. You talk to agents on the line, in their entire careers, they've never seen crossing days as low as what they're experiencing right now. The cartels, in fact, are enormously frustrated because they've never seen a clampdown like this before in American history. There are people who were working at Border Patrol back when it was INS in the 80s and 90s. They've never seen a day like this. That's because you've mobilized the 10th Mounted Division, the Marines, the entire U.S. military. They're erecting physical miles of barrier, temporary and ultimately permanent, every single day. You have all of your border agents pushed to the front line. They're not doing the humanitarian processing, quote unquote, that Biden was doing. They're doing law enforcement and national security. They're interdicting weapons and drugs. They're interdicting violent, high-threat criminals. And the U.S. military is repatriating illegal immigrants at a pace and a scale that has never occurred before in American history. And those who are committing human trafficking and child trafficking are being prosecuted for felony offenses, and they'll be doing hard time in jail. There's never been a lockdown like what you have implemented through your orders and vision since you took the oath of office.
Wow. This is why we love Stephen Miller, and this is why we're happy that Donald Trump won the presidency, and this is why the last 3 weeks of our lives have been so extraordinary. It's amazing what's happening right now. Let me just sum it up this way. America's laws are being enforced. People who are violating our laws are being apprehended, and they're being dealt with in our justice system. Our border has been secured, and those who violated our border laws are being found, and they're being punished. And the people who are best at doing those jobs are in place and effectively carrying out the law and actually doing their job. In other words, let me just put it this way. The grown-ups are back in charge. Have you seen the news from certain economists right now? They're forecasting a depression, not a recession, a depression by 2030. We're in this perfect storm right now where Social Security and Medicare hit a breaking point, with the largest generation hitting retirement all at the same time, plus a smaller workforce, meaning a smaller tax base to fund those programs. And then, of course, we've got our growing national debt, rising cost of living. It's the perfect storm. That's why these predictions are coming in. Now, there's a lot that's out of your control, but what can you do? Well, you can do whatever you can to secure your own family's future. Gold can be a safe haven in hard economic times, and Birch Gold makes it easy to diversify a portion of your savings into physical gold. You can transition an existing IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold, and it doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. So protect your future today. Text Larry, that's my name, Larry, to 989898. Get your free info kit on gold, and you'll get a copy of The Ultimate Guide for Gold in the Trump Era with a foreword by Donald Trump Jr. No obligation, only information. We love information. You deserve to get this information. It's free. Why not get it? Text my name, Larry, to the number 989898. Do that today.